The next speaker, I'm not aware of his background, but I know that he also writes books. This is a person who's been quite tough in the way he raises and answers questions, and giving us lots of food for thought. He's a great speaker, and he will be asking you why it's wrong to eat ice cream before borscht. Or why do we go by certain stereotypes that we apply when bringing up our children? Do we really have to do it? Do we have to bring them up? Is it enough just to love them? Dima Zicer. So you shouldn't be so happy now. Good morning, everyone. Okay, let's keep calm. We need to get adjusted to one another, to do some ice breaking to start with. I would like to begin by asking you my usual question, and I expect you to do you want it tough or do you want it soft? Which way do you want it? Okay. Are you making fun of me, no? Okay, let's play tough. Okay, I'll start from the end of my talk. Please, by show of hand, who is under 18 here in this audience? Look at one another. It's like a congress of men at the end of the 19th century discussing the problems of women. Aren't you surprised? Look, I'll tell you what, I'm so elated, I'm so excited about this conference, but all conferences actually work the same. It's when smart adult people like ourselves gather to discuss the issues with all those adolescents, and suddenly they can't speak for themselves. And we spend hours talking about how their life should be constructed. But we understand how to... Wait a minute, someone can tell me, look, Dima, are you sort of too democratic or something? Can you conceive of, look, are they capable? But if we're posing that question, let's pack up and leave. Let's enjoy the sights of Kiev. But if we are honest with ourselves, then something is not really working here within our profession. Maybe there's something wrong with our world. Because at that point, when we, and I'm being quite serious, I don't want to embarrass you or myself, my colleagues, or anyone, but when we are seriously speaking about the them in third person, about children, this is something that raises a lot of concern as far as I'm concerned. That's why I actually wanted to end on this note, but you made me start with this. It's maybe why not invite some of the kids for our next conference? Some colleagues can argue, look, they are still young, they find it hard to formulate their thoughts, but aren't we pedagogues, aren't we teachers? Isn't it part and parcel of our profession that we teach children to become mature? If we want to articulate your thoughts, let's do it. We sometimes also struggle with articulation. Isn't that the whole point? Now, I think, quite frankly, that this thing that I started my talk with quite spontaneously, but it actually strikes at the very core of what we are discussing, and that it addresses the title of this conference. It's why go to school? Being the big question. Do you know the answer to the question? Why learn? Why study? Okay, let's keep it simple. A small training drill. It's a big hall. Can somebody shout something from the back? Like, get lost or something, whatever it might be. Okay, now, okay, I need to just to be able to gauge the audience. Just try and process the answer to this question through your brains. It is quite amazing that a large, if not the prevailing majority of adults, they answered this. Are you serious? What do you mean? Why do you mean why? That's how most people answer the question. Isn't that obvious? Something like this. If we are being honest and serious, so do not hesitate to throw stuff at me. I know how to dodge something being pelted at me, so it's okay to shout. But it's quite seriously, we don't have an answer to that question, do we? This is like the original sin of education, if you will. Does anyone have a question? An answer to the question, sorry? Does anyone have... Okay. To learn and to communicate. What's your name? Tanya says, it's to learn and communicate. That is the why. Okay, wait a minute. I'm just one in front of you, as so many of you. I will try to get everyone involved. But that is actually an answer that comes up. Wait a minute, what do you need to go into this particular building to communicate? Why? Well, no, wait, hands off me. Why don't you go to a museum? Why not outdoors? Why don't you go to a public bath, for that matter, and communicate there? Yeah, under supervision. Communicate under supervision. I mean, some people might think I have colluded with you. Why go to a school building? Okay, a museum. People should keep silent there. But anyway, I think that students should go to a school to learn some new skills. So what kind of skills? There is a forum that has determined the 10 top skills. It's such as communication, collaboration. Okay, we can have a nice chat about this, and I will. Okay, we will have a good chat about it afterwards. Look. Okay, it's to learn is what springs to mind. It's not only a question of why, it is a question also of what to learn. I'm not provoking you into anything, but it's whenever we give the answer that we go to school to learn, it's just like the same. Are you serious? Is that obvious? It sounds pretty much the same. So when the question comes up, what to learn? So we don't know, like, and our teachers, because it's our teachers because we don't have people younger than 18 here in this audience. But our teachers, they always made a very serious face in front of their students, making believe that they knew the answer to the question, what kind of world we would be living in. But they all were wrong. They were all wrong. Everyone was mistaken. 100% of the teachers. Were our teachers bad? No. I love them. I love my teachers. But how to put it mildly, they must have been good and they must have meant well. But they must have been too afraid of searching for the answer to the question, why the hell do we need all this? See? What really comes up to mind? It's kind of counterintuitive. 20 years ago, we got hit in the face. Okay. We would have been punched in the nose if we'd asked the question. Why go to school? Because it was so easy to deceive us. 20 years ago we were told, if you don't go to school, it's all hell will break loose and you will lose your life and all that. So you will end up working as a prostitute depending on your gender and everything. Maybe you'll end up sweeping the streets or something like this. But that did not quite play out the way that those spooky stories told us. And but then it's something that we were younger. That's what we learned from that. But I forgot to tell you, feel free to respond. Feel free to throw rebuttals at me or whatever. So, but at the end of the day, we have quite a good understanding why the traditional school is actually built the way it is. So it was a massive effort to put masses of children through education and with questions like, okay, they need to learn something, to sit exams and then to do something. But the world's moved on big time. And it's a new reality now. It's some new objectives, and I will cite two examples. One, I think I used it once here in Kiev. Maybe it's some might have done. First example, I always ask the question to the teachers: is it necessary to learn the multiplication table? Is it necessary? Yes, no. It's quite interesting that most math teachers answer the question in the same way. Are you serious? Yeah, but isn't this something to think about? I'm not going to give you the right answer. But I'm positive about that. The teacher must know the answer to the question. At least they must be able to be honest with themselves to answer the question whether it is necessary or not. But if it's a no, then this gives rise to a whole array of new instruments. It's like they come to the surface. So you've got to learn this multiplication table over the summer. Why? You've got to do it because I'm telling you. Look, wait a minute. Look at this nice gadget. It knows it all. It's got all the math in the world. Look. Put away your phone. I'm teaching here. Or one more answer that teachers have given. You will not always have your phone in your pocket. Can you imagine? You're walking in the dark forest and it's getting dark. A bear climbs out of its den. And you need to know the answer, how 473 by 15. You need to know. So how would the multiplication table help? Because that is not covered. It's a big number. I will not tell you the answer. I don't really know. I'm not telling you that this is not necessary, but I'm just asking the question, and it's actually a tool. The question, why? It's not a rhetorical why. It's something that commands an answer. And if we do not answer the question, then it hangs in the air. So we can do anything at all. Other than education, there are other walks of life and other pursuits that we could engage in. I'm actually a person who was robbed of maths. When I was in school, I detested it and I didn't like it. I started discovering maths for me when I became a school headmaster. So it was a true discovery for me. It sort of dawned on me that actually I should have learned all this back in my school years. So now it's because that Pythagoras and all this stuff, it's actually, those are the building blocks of this universe. That realization came to me quite late. So one more. It's Pushkin. Pushkin, who all Russian speakers love, and his poetry is taught in schools. There was a poem that he once wrote. He said one verse and everyone repeated after him. So everyone knows it by heart. Look, at what age did you learn this poem? And when was it? Elementary school? What's your name, Anya? What is this poem about? It's about nature. Okay, cool. Okay, nature. Tell me more. Rise up, my beauty. Wake up. Open your eyes from slumber. And there is snow that's glowing. Is this a great awakening next to a beautiful woman? It's about nature. Are you serious? This is about nature? You wake up next to a beautiful. It's about sex. About sex in nature. Okay. Certainly, there's look, two great answers to this. I really love this. What is it about? It's about the nanny. Pushkin is known to he had a nanny, so he wakes up. Okay, look, who is it in my bed? It's my nanny. Wake up! Time to wake up. And the other great, I've been given this twice. So it is meet the Northern Aurora, and it's about a ship. So it's something. It was really great. So it's. Wait a minute. All I can do is just ask questions. But it is this circling back to the question why. And I'll tell you why. To make our kids to never pick up Pushkin's poems ever in their life after school. But they would all claim that Pushkin was a real bulwark of Russian culture, whatever, literature, whatever. So it's a large audience, but it's just to think, reflect back on this. Isn't that the product of our school? Pushkin is our everything. Let's stash it away somewhere and never touch it again. So this is how education works. So and look at in 10 years' time to see the results, the product. Isn't that so? You just give me a sign. So isn't that quite amazing? So we can spend hours and even kilometers talking about how to build our school system. We are the product of that system. Look how we are trapped, how easily we get trapped. I've told you this, but then people start actually talking nonsense, just as they themselves been bullshitted to at some point. So I've never heard from a single teacher. Everyone wants to say I love children in sort of in a biblical kind of tone. Now look how it's interesting. Why talk about this at all? Why love children? So the doctor says I love my patients. The bus driver says I love my passengers. Isn't that because this is a cliche? It's something that we can use to cover up so many things. And parents, when speaking about a teacher, they go, but he or she loves children. Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe we don't send our kids to be loved. Wait a minute, love is our everything, isn't it? Wait a minute. This is a profession. If the whole point of this profession that I love children, I just can't stop myself, and it's, sometimes could be criminally prosecuted. So it is that. Does this get me license to do anything if I call them those nice names and everything, my sweethearts and everything? Do you wish to respond? No. So it's are you sort of gloomy or something? Okay, we will get out of this mess. Out of the woods. Why go to school? Okay. Okay. To be inspired by people inspired by their profession. How are we going to measure, how are we going to gauge that inspiration? I love my course. I love teaching it. Why? But okay, wait a minute, honey. Look at all these nice people here. Hey, can you just press them hard and they will confess? I love my discipline. So how are we going to measure them? And to you. So what? Why? Okay, I'm dedicated to what I do. But are the kids to blame for that? Look, but if you go, okay, let's catch a kid. Let's send them in. Better when it's still dark at 8. Okay, they walk to school at dawn, where they might like something or they might not. And the whole point is because we love what we do. That's why we make them. We make them take up this ordeal because we love what we do. We're dedicated. Go ahead. Okay, she says, okay, we go to school. Okay, they, it's them. They go to school. I'll be verbatim. To be trained in something. So is it like? Is it? Okay, it's not only that. Okay. To be trained in what? Okay, we're all in first name terms here, so what's your name? Nastya, okay. Tell me. To articulate one's thoughts. Do I have to go to school to learn to do that? Okay, so I go back to the question, to the original question. Why go to school? Because the law compels us, because the parents have sent me there. Okay, but all forms of coercion, they're just the background. Okay, yeah, we can always fall back on them, because the law requires that all kids go to school and all that. But look, we've got, how many people do we have here? 500? It's cool that this is the way you answered it. So, wait a minute. It's okay. They are trapped, we are trapped too. Each morning I have to engage in a small act of coercion and violence. I have to tell my loved ones, I have to pull them out of bed and send that poor child to Irina, who is so dedicated about her and passionate about her subject and whatnot. And again and again. Look, it's a client. And your name is? Nadia. I want to look her in the eye. Those girls fraternizing, sisternizing, whatever it is. Okay. All feedback is welcome. We need to prepare the kids for life. Who is going to take this one up? Wait a minute. I want to vex you a bit, before I let you speak. Okay. Look, guys. So you mean you're preparing them for life means they're not living now? Life is something that comes after school. Life, echo. This is how we pose the question. Look, It's this democratic education, as the title of the conference suggests. This is one of the most racist statements. A, we know how you shit should learn. Sorry, excuse my French. We know the answer to the question. And B, you are not living now. And that is my favorite paradigm that I love. There is no life. There is preparation for life. First, we're going to prepare you for kindergarten. Kindergarten, my dear baby, is there to prepare you for school. School exists to prepare you for university. University exists, Nadia knows, exists because beyond that point, life will eventually begin, adult life. So, but this is a unique moment. Who's doing that? Look, it's, I'm not going to let you speak now. You can put your hand down. So why are we doing this? It is us. We are doing this. So I'm circling back to my original question. We don't know the answer to the question. When we do not know the answer to the question, we need to come up with a legend. A legend is always good, but we are big Democrats here. But you, my dear child, you are not old enough, you're not mature enough. When you've grown up, having learned the multiplication table and everything, Mom, I'm not going to learn this. I did. Look, you didn't. Look, you're married to the same man for decades, and you have never changed jobs. Look, but you know how the teaching profession is constructed. And this is like this kind of rat race, chasing your own tail. So, circling back to the original question, this is what underlies this distorted system. And we, as adults, we can beat about the bush for years, but that's the whole point. That's why we don't see students during our conferences. It's not any kind of conspiracy. They will just get up and leave because they will sense something false about what we do. Okay, I anticipated your question. Okay, let me jazz you up a little bit more. Look, it's coming. So you're excited, auntie. Okay, I'll give it my best shot. One more interesting thing. There's a story that we're talking about. It's actually verifiable. A simple question that we often pose to our children, or to ourselves. When are they supposed to decide who they want to be? And you're not here. Who you want to be, who you will be in the future. Around what age? Around 8th form. And this is called professional orientation. Professional orientation. But this is an interesting story. How is a person supposed to know in 8th form what they'll be doing in 20 years' time? Remember, it was a great time. Age 14, 15, first kisses and all that. Going to the movies together and so many interesting activities. Why? I'll give you my version. Why? Because it is convenient for the state. Because the state wants to know that. Isn't that really convenient? To coerce a child into confessing where we would find them in 20 years' time. And it's not about Russia, Ukraine, it's any state, any country works that way. Because the objective of the state goes against the grain of the objectives of education. Has the minister left? Okay, I'm joking. The objective is to keep things simple. Yes, to make people simpler, more predictable. And that is why it's actually been dogmatized, this idea that a person aged 15 must swear, must commit to pursuing a certain path in life. And that is the whole point. So when it's certainly there are good people among public officials, but even the best public official tells us we are together. I'm going to say something really insensitive. They are not with us. Yeah, we can talk to them. We can reach agreements, but we proceed from different objectives. We've got to bring home to them that this world is an incredibly complex place. In a certain sense, we're talking about relationships. We are talking about bullying. If come to that, bullying. It's another manifestation of trying to keep things. Keeping things simple. I don't like somebody wearing red. Okay, I'm going to bully you. Okay. Pedagogics is a complex area, and it's something we start seeing some signs of how to answer the question. But it's like a necklace on a piece of string with all the beads, but there is no answer, and we are only discovering it. Anytime we're trying to pinpoint an answer to the question, we engage in endless manipulation, and it's and we eventually fall back on admitting that you can't do it without this. Look, so what's adult life? How do you define adult life? Okay, it's about decision making. It's about making choices. Okay, it's coming. Okay, adult life is about making decisions. Then my question to you: don't kids decide anything? Don't they make any choices? So okay, if kids also make choices, so what are we preparing them for? Okay, a small workshop in pedagogics. You're going to enjoy it. How do you teach somebody to make decisions? Okay, this spooky verb to allow. It's like it's really hard to do, but you've got to allow, to enable them to make decisions. Okay, if you allow them to do it, now it's the spookiest part is coming. Is if you allow a kid to decide, will they go to school? Will they decide to go to school? Okay, wait a minute. You just said it's all about decision making. Okay, it depends on the kind of school. Okay, blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, I understand that. But yeah, certainly, they will run to most schools, but maybe avoid just a couple. Look, if we are being honest with one another, let's be that way. I agree with you. That's how it really works. How do you teach a person to make decisions? They've got to practice. How do you teach a child to eat with a spoon? They just pick up a spoon, they look at their parents, and learn to use the spoon to eat. How does somebody go about learning the multiplication table? How do you make them do it? I'll tell you. So the first question is, why do I need it? And make it readily available everywhere. That's not you didn't see that coming, did you? Okay. It's the exact opposite of how we do it. You learn and you will tell me, you'll recite it. Certainly, people learn to make decisions when they practice at it. I think that I might hit home run now. So, okay, if somebody is 4 years old, okay, from this initial elementary school age, okay, a little younger, and the kid says, "Mom, I want to sing." The best mom in Kiev finds the child a singing school. Okay, the child enrolls in the singing school, sings for a couple of sessions, and comes back and goes, the child goes, I don't want to sing. I want to draw. I want to paint. Okay, that's the difficult part. Because at that moment, there are several ways to go about discussing this. Number one, okay, wait a minute. He's got to learn to make decisions. Isn't that what the child's doing in front of your eyes? No, wait a minute. if I allow him or her to move to another activity, he will never follow through with anything. Now, I'm not going to frighten you into what exactly that poor kid will never learn to follow through with. This is just a cliche. It's just, okay, they've got to learn to take everything to some level. Okay, don't talk to me about this. No, you've got to continue. But it's actually quite an interesting melting pot. There is a reason why the child now wishes to quit singing and start painting. Maybe he got yelled at by the teacher. Maybe he's being bullied by his classmates. That is when this interesting role comes on stage. How to teach the kids to internalize that. How to teach them to learn to appreciate and figure out why it is I want to move to painting now from singing. But at that very moment, our kiddo is learning to make decisions. So let's put it to the test. How the system works very superficially, whether the system that exists currently empowers me, enables me to make decisions. I know that, and I would like to acknowledge the progress achieved by the school reform in Ukraine, but I've got people in front of me, and then how did these classrooms work? Like you please shut up, you please keep okay. Everyone, please take your seats. Okay, why are you laughing? I keep showing this trick, and it's like this pain that I can see in the eyes of the audience. Is it a decision-making environment? We kind of sort of overlook, we kind of skip to the next point. I'll be happy if Ukraine changes that. I know it's changing slowly but steadily, but it's. But isn't it an interesting story in and of itself? Isn't that clear what exactly we are teaching? We are teaching hierarchy, because as the saying goes that all animals are equal, but some are more equal. But that's this tradition that you rise when I yell, "Shut up and listen to me, and do what I'm telling you." I just knocked them out, and then I go, isn't it interesting what I'm telling you? So who are you talking to? Look, if you just pissed me off, just knocked me out, and then you go, wait a minute, how come you don't find my subject interesting? Okay, let's talk about that little guy, the little kiddo who wanted to move from singing to painting. What am I, if I keep impressing on them that, look, we've paid for a year's worth of your singing classes. You've got to work out the money. So, but actually, wasn't my intention good? Didn't I want to teach the child to make decisions? What actually I ended up teaching the child that my opinion doesn't matter. Invariably there will come a point when somebody orders me what I should do, and again I circle back again to the initial point that it's something that it's okay within this new democratic environment. It's important to really encourage people to discover their identities. It's something that I discussed with a friend about me. Sasha Murashov will be talking tomorrow, and he told me today that so many people are just playing the part, and they appear to be doing something to introduce democracy, but it goes like, you decide. It's a democracy. I'm not telling you anything. You, come on, okay, do it. You decide now. I'm not talking about this kind of make-believe democracy, but it's often a question of immaturity. People simply not prepared to embrace democracy because they've been knocked on their head for years for having done exactly that thing that we now want to elicit, to encourage them to do. So it's like it's not about it starts very early. It's like what trousers I want to wear, which class I want to attend. So this I may sound a little out of place here, but it's very difficult in a post-Soviet environment to teach people to make their own choices. Should we give up on this if it's difficult? No. That is one of the most interesting pursuits in life. But it's a bumpy road. So, are any of you school, kindergarten teachers? Okay, maybe it's about you, maybe not. Okay. I've seen this hundreds of times. Okay, this little guy, aged 4, walking down the corridor, and a teacher behind him goes, oh, let's go. That does like this. Why is she doing that? Just sort of guiding the child? Because she needs it, she wants it. I think it's a little more complex. Yeah, certainly because she's being good. She's what this triggers in her. She just can't believe that a person who's aged 4 knows where he or she is going to. So that is indeed but that is the. Can you imagine a 4-year-old knowing where they want to go? Maybe you are lost in the woods of the education system, but he or she has a pretty good idea. Okay, let me reveal some of my professional secrets. You'll be amazed. But when we had just started our school, it was one of the most painful growing pains. So it was around this particular issue that I feel that I'm such a big friend, and I always want to tap them on this. Oh no! So why do you keep touching the children? So, but I'm doing this lovingly, and this actually why am I telling you all this? Because it's us is me. We are all sick, and we will never heal unless we begin by admitting that we are sick. Okay, one more example, and then over to you. Once we moved from a smaller building to a larger one with 2 stories, and this our teaching staff gathered, and how this looked regular. And that sort of was out of bounds. So because we had worked in a 1-story building, and then the teachers didn't want the kids to go up to the 2nd floor, and we had kids enrolling at age 4. So okay, what is going to happen to them if they go up to the 2nd floor? It was one of the most difficult discussions. How to prevent the kids from straying. Look, actually, we were building a democratic school, but nothing's ever happened. Nothing bad's happened. Because it's my assumption that small person is not completely human in the sense that they can't take care of themselves. And I really love my colleagues, my teachers, but I understand the root cause of this, where this anxiety comes from, and this is not obvious that it's really very crucial to agree to discard this stereotype and begin to believe that they can do it. They can do everything, they can do anything. And they know how to make choices, how to structure their choices. Then, it's a good starting point. But we should be around to backstop them, to help it. We suffer from another sin. Let me stray into this for, if you allow this digression, this whole legend about gadgets that we live with. A very large number of my friends and relatives and people, they keep telling me this. Let me remind you. Most, not all, not more. It's not about you, it's about those other people living on Mars. It's not about you, definitely, but okay. An iPad is evil, and it should be done to the mystifications of various uh, legends that it's only for maths, or it's only, if it is to be played on, it's only for 2 hours a day. Why? Because it actually creates an addiction. The kids become addicted. It's very hard to unglue them from their gadgets. My new friend tells me that life goes around the child without them noticing while they're playing. So why is it important to play? Why drop the gadget and play like we used to play? Sensory experience. Let me tell you this. I'm not going to tell you that you've got to allow your kids to sit in front of the gadgets. I'm actually not going to tell you that, but I'm here in front of people who do not have any idea what it's like to be a child surrounded by gadgets. No one of us have ever experienced that, but you look as though you do know this. I understand how it works, but it's an interesting loophole, if you will. It's like you said, okay, look, I feel comfortable with my gadget. But how do you know? No, my mother. Look, I know because I'm adult. But look, you never had a gadget when you were a child. Okay. When I was a small girl, my parents would tell me, if you watch TV for 2 hours a day or longer, your eyes are going to flow out of their sockets. Look, they were wrong. But when they wrong, they made a mistake. No, parents, were they bad? Were they terrible? No. They were just concerned, and they had the same anxiety that we have now. It's fear that we all feel, that we fear for our children, as teachers, as parents, and all parents will know this. It is really it is so spooky, and I'm so afraid of, and I'd better, because I'm frightened, I should find a way of blocking it. It's like put on your hat because it's frosty outdoors, and the kid will turn a corner and take the hat off. And I know that he or she will do it. And then when they're glued to their iPad, it may not come as something obvious for 100% of the audience, but I understand this. Okay, I'm scared. And then out of my fear, I do something else. I come up with fictitious research. Some scientists argue that whoever sits in front of an iPad for 2 or more hours will grow up an impotent. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe who? I don't know. I've heard something somewhere from someone. Look, don't think I'm different. I'm the same as you. I'm now circling back to school with this fear. We are all teachers. We have this fear. And whenever I have this teaching plan or syllabus or whatever it might be, and I have some construct in my mind, so if I were being truly democratic, I'd go, look, wouldn't it be great to bring your own iPad and use it and engage with your kids? It's fear. Fear is a very basic sensation shared by most teachers and most parents. But if we are afraid, who is going to resolve our fear? Who is going to dispel it? It's up to us. So it's the sort of kind of automatic reaction, because I'm frightened, I'm afraid. You should be home by 10. Look, Mom, if you're being too anxious, just take a pill or something. But because fear is addictive, she comes before 10, So I find a new target for my fear. So the fear never goes until I've learned to understand how it really works. I had this very unique experience. I hosted workshops for 4 years in a small town, and all teachers were there, all subjects from this town and surrounding villages, and we spent a day working together, not as tough as with you, but discussing our teaching matters. And at the end of the day, one teacher tells me, quite an elderly woman, she goes, Dima, we understood everything. I understood everything. I can't do it. Why? I will never be allowed to do something like that. And I go, look, you, teacher. And it's actually, it was, we had a series, and we would meet again in a year. Okay, give it a try, we'll meet again in a year, and you'll tell us all how it went. 100 teachers came back and had tried something. So only 4 teachers bumped into some difficulties. The higher-ups were not allowed to do that. So, but you can go, look, if they just didn't want to embarrass you or frustrate you, they were lying. Okay, 16, 32, but it's nonsense. So at that very moment, when somebody says, okay, I'm ready to try it, so that's how our profession works. Who is there to stop me? Look, I close the door to my classroom, and I can do it all. I can do anything I want. And then, okay, if somebody goes, okay, I'd be fired if I pulled off something like this. Okay, fine, if you'd have found yourself another job. It's a good excuse, or people use it. Okay, the law requires this. It actually doesn't. I can tell you more. Who has built the law to require what it currently does require? Now, hopping over from teachers to parents. Now, at that very moment when we can't answer the question, we start stammering, and we are at a loss for an answer to the question, why go to school? That's where it ends. This is professionally called absence of order. There is no order. It's like if we walk into a laundromat with a big bag or a laundry, and then okay, this is my clothes, I want them washed, but I'll pick them up in 10 years' time. And then enter the state that wants to keep things simple. And then I teach the way I teach. What can you do about it? And the answer to the question, why go to school, is actually in our hands. I mean, in the hands of both teachers and parents. Because why have those parents' meetings? It's what parents meet to do what? Why should they? Why would they? Okay, normally it's to collect some money to buy a new blackboard or something. Okay, okay, yes, that is the whole point. It's the parents should meet to have their own discussions and how it works, why it works that way. Now I'm going to kill you with my next question. How do you translate the word school in your language? Not leisure. Not leisure, but close. School. What is the original word? What does it mean? It is a place for conversation. A place for conversation is the original meaning of the word school. It's actually Plato, the dialogues, and then it's actually, isn't it a great tip? It's a place to converse. I'm going to give you my answer. So why go there? There is only one reason to do anything at all. It's if that place is helping me understand myself better and the world around me, hook up with a hot girl, something like this, find a way of interacting better with myself, with my consciousness. There is no other reason why. people should go to school. And this system that we are discussing, that we will be discussing, that is the whole point. Why am I? Why do I work the way I do? Democrat alternative school. They are not alternative. That's the other. The traditional system is alternative. It's because the state has come up with an alternative, a system of education, because it doesn't have either a system or education. So most of us, we work in education because it is our job to help this little human being learn to appreciate why they should get up every morning. So if somebody cannot answer this question, then we're not doing the job. Because if I continue refusing to answer the question, it's all this filth is going to come out of my mouth. You will understand when you grow up. You will be thankful. No, they will not be thankful. Okay, we are thankful and appreciative and all that. We've learned to turn the pages and everything, and when we leave our school, where is all this nonsense coming from? Those nostalgic songs dating back to a Soviet past. Because it was like all this pink spittle, if you will. It's all this. Do you want to go back to this? To a situation when you will be ordered around and be told what to learn and how to learn? So do we reminisce about the past? Yes, Pushkin. Everything passes, everything goes. Life is good. Something like this. But this demographic system is built around these concepts. Otherwise, I'd have to come clean on the question how to live your life. I don't know the answer to that, and I circle back to this. Okay, because we claim we know something, like we claim that we know how to work an iPad while we don't. So we need to create an environment that will encourage the kids to tell us how they do it, and we will respond to that. This really works. This has worked. The only thing that could stand in the way are all those stereotypical complacency, this hierarchical structure in which we are the king of the hill. I know it. Why? Because is the answer. What I would like to come up now, the grand finale, I would like to encourage you to look at the open democratic education framework. This is actually out of survival that we should do it. It's because our kids are no longer buying this bullshit that we keep piling on them, because they know how to survive without the multiplication table. And if we can't weave this into the fabric of our life, they know they can survive without Pushkin or Shevchenko or any other great poets. It's not an issue then. Now, going back to square one. Why go back to square one? Because those are the tools, the various tools. And excuse me for repeating myself, this last statement. Because I don't know how those tools work, I have no choice. I have to discover how they work. Thus, to leave you with one more example from our school. So it's something that Yakov spoke about. We use similar concepts. We have the kids involved in all decision-making processes, and even hiring teaching staff is something that kids have a hand in. And why? I'm not going to burden you with more discussion. Why? But we are all only human. This discussion about gadgets will invariably come up, and I have to stand my ground. No, we're not going to take the gadgets away from them. Take some breathing exercises. Do not rush to do it. No. When the kids come 2 months later, and the kids themselves go at our parliament. We wish to pass a law on gadgets. Oh, really? What do you mean a law on those senior high school kids? They bring some photos showing kids glued to their screens and quite spooky photos when it's an older boy surrounded by 5 small children. And there's one more group like this, and the kids. And I'm completely honest with you. The kids told us they didn't want to continue that way because we want to do more. We want to accomplish more. Look how much more valuable it becomes when it comes from the students. Look, we just don't want those little kids to shadow us. That we want them to have this opportunity of discovering more activities for themselves. At some point, there was a bill proposed to Parliament that gadgets would only be allowed to be used for educational purposes. But what is an educational purpose? Is surfing the internet an educational purpose? Oh, it depends. Look, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Oля. Okay, there's diverse information there. So you mean educational in a school setting, or more generally? Like I'm talking about the old school. Like, haven't we killed the old system today? But if it's not harmful for their mental health, so what? Am I harmful? Am I being harmful to your mental health now? It is a possibility. You can't know it. There is only one way of finding out. How do you find out if I'm being intrusive in your mental space health? I can tell you. You can just ask. So I need to create an environment in which you will be free to tell me to clear off. Look, we've just invented a very basic pedagogical instrument. That we need to provide a way for you to be able to tell me that. Look, you are still young, but you go. But Facebook is full of all sorts of information. Is it bad? No, don't ask me these questions. We aren't kids sent to school to interact with information? And don't we send them there to get information? So, okay, multiplication table is a yes, and something else is a no. So life is long. It's okay. So we set some boundaries and restrictions, but if somebody walks to school to hang around in the good sense of the word, to hang around, to get a kick out of this experience, to learn to appreciate what's going on in my life and around me, so then isn't it cruel to ban social media networks in school? Isn't that ridiculous? If we are being truthful, if our objective, and in any event, it's up to them, it's not up to us to figure that out. Okay. In my generation, and most of you too, there was this kind of linear approach to you complete one task and you move on to the next task, you complete that one and move on to the next one. So I'm being banal, but it's a generation of people who are multitaskers. They are texting somebody and they're watching something, and it's so hard for us to wrap a brain around this new reality because we've been taught to finish one activity and move on to the next one. But we are confronted with people who are different, and we've got to provide an environment that will nurture that new culture. One of the conflicts is that we have the power, and it's a great responsibility. It is the teachers and the parents. We have the power, and Mr. Landgrant once worded it as follows: I need to protect the child from myself, because there's a lot of evil lurking in the shadows among us. I don't want to demonize the system, but our system of education will never become open. That unless I tell myself I have to do something with this little monster, because I'm so full of fears and all the models and stereotypes that I grew up learning, that I now need to defend, to protect the children from all this stuff. And this is what democracy is all about. Questions? I promise to open it up for questions. Okay, my dear friends, we are running out of time. Let's turn my last statement into a toast. Let's drink to learning to defend the children from ourselves.